Well, hello once again. This is Matt with the Practical Tips channel, and we're going to talk about something in more the automotive area today, something that relates to cars anyway, and that is I want to talk a little bit about what happens and what you need to do when your car is what they call totaled. Okay, totaled is actually kind of a casual or slang term for an insurance industry term that is actually says total loss. Okay, so your car is called a total loss. Okay, this is a car insurance term, as I say, and it's based on a financial comparison. All right, when the insurance company says a total loss, and you go out and look at your car and say, "Well, I know we was in an accident, but it hasn't been made into a total like a little cube or something. It wasn't completely flattened. How is it a total loss?" Well, what the insurance company does is they make a financial comparison. Understand that when you're dealing with an insurance company, this is a financial services company. Okay, they are categorized that way. And so they are going to make a financial evaluation, a financial decision, okay, based on the situation with your car. So we have a simple comparison. It's the current market value of the car versus the cost to repair the car. All right. So they're going to make this comparison. If the cost to repair the car, and they'll go to several different shops and get estimates, and if the cost to repair the car is more than what they find the current market value to be, then the car is considered a total loss. Okay. Now, whatever remaining value that the car might have, if any, they will normally, once they've totaled it, they will normally issue you a payment, all right, in the amount of that value. Generally, they'll provide you a check, sometimes maybe a cashier's check even, but they'll usually provide you a check. And they should also, when they total that, they should also provide you with documentation. So there should be some sort of a report. Okay, so if you have the accident, you go through this whole process, and the insurance company determines that the car is a total loss. They tell you it's been totaled. They should provide some documentation to you to back up what they're saying. Okay, so there should be some kind of a report that shows you, hey, insurance customer, this is what we found based on quotes that we got in the immediate area. This is the cost to repair your vehicle, and this is the cost. This is the actual market value of your vehicle. So they should provide you a report with that. If they, for some reason, they don't, you need to ask for it. I think most insurance companies are professional enough; they will do that. I really can't imagine why an insurance company wouldn't give you a report like that. I know this has actually happened to me once, and they gave me actually quite a lengthy report. It was probably over a dozen pages, just showing me cars that were even close to the value of what my car was at the time. So back in kind of the early 2000s. So they will, provide you that information. Then, as I say, if the car has any remaining value, then they will go ahead and issue you a payment for that. Now, if the value situation is such that there's not a whole lot left on there, and if you are making payments on that car, if you were making payments, then of course that means the bank holds the title, and if there's not enough value left in there, then the car insurance company will probably just pay whatever value remains to the financial institution, the bank, or whoever that you were making payments to. So that is a little something to keep in the back of your mind there. When, if you do have this situation happen to you when your car is totaled, and, let's say they issue you a check. I had this happen to me, and they gave me a check. It wasn't that big because I had a car that was at that point, car was about 7 years old or so, and it was almost paid off. So it wasn't a huge market value, and so they didn't issue me a real big check for that. But what I strongly suggest is, number one, is carefully consider your options. Don't rush to a decision on what you're going to do. Obviously, if you're talking about a car that was your only transportation, then clearly you're going to have to go, figure out a way to go car shopping. This is a really good reason, especially if you live in an area that's really prone to a lot of traffic accidents, maybe a real high density population with a lot of people driving in your metro area where you live, then, good idea to consider having a backup car, a second car that you can drive, but also keep your credit, your credit score really good and high, so that should something happen, you can go out and finance a car should it be necessary. Of course, there's also good reason to have that emergency fund saved up as well. But in any event, don't rush into a decision. Sometimes, depending on the policy and the coverage you have, your car insurance may provide a rental car for you. I had this happen for me in my particular instance. The way the auto coverage worked, especially since I only had the one vehicle, then the car insurance paid for a week's rental on a rental car, which was nice. That was convenient. I needed that to get around. And of course, you want to take that time and shop and figure out what you want to do. As part of this, not rushing to a decision, I want to really caution you on this next part. If you decide for some reason that you're really going to get into a significant dispute with your insurance company about either something, the way the claim was settled, or something about the value of your car, that you think they really got it wrong and it was way too low or something along those lines, be very, very careful. And I highly recommend that you consult a lawyer to make sure that, if you're going to contemplate a dispute with the insurance and possibly take them to court, be sure that you consult, at least get like a free initial consult with an attorney, and make sure it's going to be worth your time and trouble. Okay, because frankly, attorneys don't come cheap, and going to court is a big hassle for all parties involved. Okay, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take up a lot of time, and it's not time to say you don't do it, but very carefully consider what you want to do and what your options are. Also, remember that even if you were to do something like this and have a legal claim, you filed some sort of a legal suit against your insurance company, be ready once it's all over, especially if you win. But in any event, when you're done with it, be ready to change insurance companies, because that's what's going to have to happen. You're probably not going to get real favorable treatment from them afterwards, whether they will admit that to you or not. But I just really, one of the things I think it happens, especially here in the United States, is Americans get really attached to their cars. We really like our cars here. And so people tend to get a little emotionally involved when you're in an accident, this, situation, a wreck happens, and the car ends up getting totaled. And especially if it happens to be your only vehicle that you have and your only transportation, and you need to get back and forth to work, then yeah, people get a little emotional. And so you really want to guard against that and be pretty careful what you're doing. And as I say, if it does happen to you and you go through this process, you get the report, the insurance issues whatever payment they give you, then very carefully consider what you're going to do next. Really carefully consider your options, and make sure you've had some time to kind of cool down after the accident or whatever happened, and make sure that you make a really solid, good decision. And if you're going to go looking around for a car, don't get in a hurry running around for a car just because you have to have some transportation. If you need to, rent a car, all right, in the meanwhile, while you're shopping for a car, then you can decide, okay, I'm going to get this type of car and what have you, because especially if you were, let's say, to go to some kind of a car dealer, which I usually don't recommend, you don't want to get taken advantage of by having the car dealer, readily perceive that you're in a big hurry because your car was totaled, and so you need, you got to get a big, put a big investment into another car. I recommend really looking around very carefully online and otherwise, and look for a good quality used car to replace a car in that kind of situation. Generally, you can find something that's acceptable and will be useful and last you a while. And that way, at least you still have basic transportation to get to and from work and that sort of thing. I know where I live here in the desert Southwest, we are highly dependent on our cars, and we do not have a really great mass transit system here in our local area. We rely mostly for mass transit on buses. There are no real area-wide commuter trains or anything like that. We don't have an L like they have in Chicago or New York or things like that. So it makes it very challenging. We're heavily car dependent here. So if you only have one car and something goes wrong with it, you really got a challenge. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure I covered this topic, trying to help people out and, make sure that you have the information you need and make a good decision. And should this happen, I wish you the best, and just take everything, make sure you get calm and cool down after the incident, and make sure that you make the best decision for you and just take it a step at a time. All right, this is Matt with the Practical Tips series of videos, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you. Have a good night.